Maybe you think I'm happy, but believe me, I'm a sick man. If it ain't one thing, it's another. My wife is fighting with me all the time I should get a car. So to please her, I bought an automobile. And believe me, it's some car. The fellow who sold me the automobile said it would go like the wind. But every time I took it out, the wind died down. He said it was 40 horsepower, but I think 39 of the horses died. I used to take it out every Sunday. Sometimes I brought it back. Everybody on the road knew me. The minute they saw me coming, they'd throw me a rope. The fella said it was a runabout, and believe me, he was right. It would run about a mile and then stop. The man who built this car certainly made walking a pleasure. I paid $700 for it, but the man said it smelled just as good as any $5,000 car. The first day I took it out, my wife said, "Abram, don't go so fast, because it's the first time I was ever in a car." I said, "You got nothing on me. It's the first time I ever drove one." Well, we were going along for a while when a policeman said, "Hey, stop, you're speeding." So he began asking me questions. He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Isidore Fitzpatrick Cohen." He said, "What's the Fitzpatrick for?" I said, "For protection." "What's that, my business?" I said, "Rotten." He said, "Do you know you are going 50 miles an hour?" So I laughed at him. He said, "Where is your speedometer?" I said, "I don't need any." I said I could tell how fast I was going without one. At 10 miles, the front fender falls off. At 15 miles, the rear wheel gets loose. And at 20 miles, we're not on the ground at all. Then the policeman lifted up the shutter in the front. He said, "Hey, your engine's missing." I said, "That's funny. It was in there when we started." Then he said to me, "How is your magneto?" I said, "All right. How is yours?" So he gave me a paper, and he told me to tell it to the judge in the morning. Believe me, I had nothing but trouble with that car. Would you believe it? I ran over myself with that car. I was standing by my car last week, so I said to my boy Jakey, "Run across the street and get Papa some cigars." But he wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't go, so I ran over myself. Well, I got the car insured, and I wanted to sell it. So I put an advertisement in the paper, but nobody would buy it. So I was reading in the paper there was a gang of thieves running around stealing automobiles. So I left it outside of my house for 2 nights, but nobody would steal it. So the only way I could get rid of it was to leave the car there, and we moved away. The Face Upon the Barroom Floor by Cupid Herring. It was a balmy summer's evening, and the 0 was below. Outside there was a lizard. The sun was shining snow. Cohen's barroom, it was crowded. There was not so many people there. Then in walked Jake the plumber, and the people began to look. "What will you have?" the bartender cried. "You're thirsty, so I think." And Jake said, "I never get thirsty unless somebody buys a drink." So they brought him 1. They brought him 2. They brought him 3 or 4. They brought him lots of water, but he couldn't drink no more. "Who can you be?" somebody cried. "Produce yourself," said they. And Jake said, "I will tell you why I am down and out today. I was once a plumber, and oi, how I could plumb. I plumbed all day and plumbed all night, and that is plumbing some. And then there came a woman, and when she came, I went. I went for everything I have. She didn't leave me a cent. I remember when I met her. She was a waitress down in Child. She used to smile at me so sweet, it almost drove me wild. I said, there is a girl who would make a lovely wife for me, 'cause if she works for Child, she must like children. Then I made up my mind that I'd propose to her someday, you see, and being a plumber, I thought it would be a pipe for me. I used to tip her nickels. Sometimes I'd give a dime. 'Twas more or less, I can't tell now. I look it up sometime. I once had $30 saved. I know you'll think it funny, but that woman didn't love me. No, she went with me for my money. I thought that she would marry me, or else become my wife. She said she wouldn't do either, so I said I'd take my life. She told me if I did that, it would prove my love was true, and after that she'd marry me. So what else could I do? I tried to die by gas and put a gas pipe in my mouth, but it was a quarter meter, and the gas had all run out. So I don't think I'll take my life, and here's the reason why. I wouldn't put a quarter in the meter just to see myself die. Let me have a herring, bartender, and I will draw for you the picture from this woman, a woman you didn't know. So he drew and he drew and he drew and he drew. But what was he drawing? Who? You couldn't tell what he was drawing if you didn't know. The eyes was yes, the lips was no, the neck was true to life. He drew the picture so rotten that we knew it was his wife. He says, how do you like it? And they all answered, punk. So with a laugh, maybe a shriek, who can tell? How can you find out? He fell across the picture, dead, drunk.